The salvage ship Crow's Nest drifted slowly through the thin purple haze of the Veil Nebula. Its running lights cut weak yellow beams into the darkness. Around it floated a dozen smaller craft, Clythe freighters with their spiny hulls, Vorath tugs shaped like fat beetles, and one sleek Sailan scout that looked too clean for this kind of dirty work. All of them circled the same thing, a giant shadow that swallowed Starlight. The wreck was huge, longer than 3 city blocks back on Earth, wider than an airfield. Its surface was not metal, but crystal. Clear in places, smoky in others, cracked like old ice on a winter lake. No one knew exactly how old it was. The first probe that touched it 3 cycles ago had sent back one clear image before it died, flowing lines carved into the hull that looked like rivers of frozen light. The name came later, pulled from fragments of dead data nodes. Luminari. A race gone for so long that even the oldest Clythe memory keepers only whispered about them. Captain Vren of the Crow's Nest stood on the command deck and stared at the main holo display. The alien ship turned slowly in the projection, outlines glowing blue. Red warning markers blinked over every major system. Collector arrays shattered. The Vorath tech beside him clicked. His mandibles made a dry sound. Core temperature absolute 0. No power signature, no heat bleed, nothing. Vren's skin flaps tightened along his neck. And the restart attempts? 7, the tech said. All ended in cascade failure. The crystal lattice rejects every harmonic we send. It sings wrong, then breaks more. A low mutter ran through the deck. The Sailan science officer made a soft chime of frustration. We have tried every protocol in the archive. Nothing matches. This is not a machine we can wake. It is a corpse. Vren rubbed the base of his crest. Then we strip what we can. The crystal alone will pay for 10 years of fuel. Mark the zones. Start cutting tomorrow. The crew moved to obey. Grapples extended. Cutting beams warmed up. No one noticed the small human figure who slipped away from the main group. Elias Kane walked the lower corridors of the Crow's Nest with his head down. He wore the same gray jumpsuit as everyone else, but his was stained with old oil and patched in 6 different colors. His boots were heavy, steel-toed, earth-made. 38 years old, hair already more gray than brown, hands thick with calluses and small white scars. He carried a canvas tool bag that sagged from years of use. Inside were wrenches, drivers, a plasma cutter, rolls of tape, and a battered diagnostic pad older than most of the aliens on board. He did not speak much. The Clythe called him soft skin. The Vorath clicked amused sounds when he passed. To them he was a curiosity at best, a low-grade labor drone at worst. Humans were new to galactic space, barely 2 centuries out from their cradle world. Their ships still used fusion torches and chemical rockets in places where everyone else had clean photon drives. Their tools looked crude. Their language had too many short, hard words. Elias did not care. He was here for the pay. 6 months on a salvage run. Good credits sent home to a sister on Earth who still believed he would come back rich one day. That was enough. But when the big wreck appeared on the scopes, something in him shifted. He had seen dead ships before, rust buckets in the asteroid belts, gutted freighters after pirate raids, even a few ancient hulks from forgotten wars. Every one of them had felt the same, cold, empty, finished. This one felt different, waiting. That night, while the rest of the crew ate nutrient paste in the mess hall and argued over cutting rights, Elias slipped into an empty maintenance bay. He checked the duty roster on his pad. His shift did not start for 9 hours. Plenty of time. He pulled on an EVA suit, old but patched well, grabbed his tool bag, and cycled through the personnel lock. The umbilical to the wreck was still attached from the last failed survey. A thin, flexible tube, just wide enough for one person. Elias crawled inside, boots clanging softly on the metal mesh floor. At the far end, the airlock of the alien ship stood open. No one had bothered to close it after the last team left in anger. He stepped inside. The corridor stretched long and silent. Walls of smoky crystal rose on both sides. Faint lights, emergency backups maybe, glowed deep inside the material, like fireflies trapped in glass. His suit lights made sharp white pools on the floor. Every few steps, the deck rang under his boots. The sound echoed and came back strange, stretched, like someone else was walking far ahead. He moved deeper. Rooms opened on both sides, empty chambers with strange curved consoles. No chairs. Maybe the Luminari did not sit. No screens, only smooth crystal panels that stayed dark when he touched them. In one wide hall he found what looked like a garden, but the plants were gone. Only dry crystal stalks remained, snapped at the base. He kept going. After almost an hour he reached the center, a massive spherical chamber. The walls here were pure clear crystal, meters thick. At the heart of the sphere hung a lattice of golden filaments, twisted together like a giant bird nest. That was the core, the Starlight furnace, the place where raw stellar plasma had once poured in and turned into clean power. Now it was black, cold, dead. Elias stood on the narrow catwalk that circled the sphere. He looked down into the dark heart of the machine. His suit sensors beeped. Temperature minus 270 degrees. No radiation, no magnetic field, nothing. He took off his helmet anyway. The air inside was thin, but breathable, cold enough to burn his lungs. He did not care. He wanted to smell it. Metal, stone, something old and patient. He set his tool bag down. From the outside speakers he heard faint voices. Salvage teams calling check-ins. Someone laughed. Someone else complained about the pay cut. Elias ignored them. He pulled out his old diagnostic pad. The screen flickered, then steadied. Alien tech laughed at most human scanners, but Elias had spent years tweaking his pad with black market code. It could at least read power flow, or the lack of it. He pointed the scanner at the lattice. Red lines crawled across the screen. Misalignment in every axis. Fractures in 63% of the crystal matrix. Ignition harmonics unknown. Estimated repair time. Impossible. Elias snorted. Impossible, he muttered. That's just a fancy way of saying we stopped trying. He sat on the edge of the catwalk, legs hanging over the drop. The cold bit through his suit. He opened the tool bag and took out a small roll of silver tape, human-made, sticky on one side, strong enough to hold vacuum patches, worth more per meter out here than most aliens would admit. He looked up at the dark lattice again. A memory came. His father in the old shipyard on Earth, knee-deep in a busted freighter engine. When the book says it's dead, the old man used to say, that's when the real work starts. Elias stood. He clipped a safety line to the railing. Then he started walking the inner curve of the sphere, studying the crystal where it met the golden filaments. Cracks ran like lightning, some wide enough to stick a finger in. He stopped at one big fracture, ran his gloved hand along it, felt the sharp edge even through the padding. All right, he said to the silent ship. Let's see what you've got left in you. He pulled a small pry bar from the bag. Not fancy, just steel, heavy. He wedged it into the crack and pushed. Nothing moved. He pushed harder. A tiny flake of crystal chipped away. It floated upward in the low gravity, sparkling for a second before it hit the far wall and stuck. Elias grinned. Small, tired, real. He wedged the bar again. Outside, the salvage fleet kept working. Cutting beams flashed against the hull. Grapples pulled loose panels away. No one noticed the single human figure deep inside the wreck, alone with a dead giant, refusing to believe it would stay dead. Elias kept prying, one chip at a time. The days blurred inside the wreck. Elias lost track of time in the usual way. Ship clocks, meal shifts, sleep cycles. He marked time by how many ration bars he had left in his pack, and how many new aches settled into his back and shoulders. He worked alone. No one came looking for him at first. The salvage teams were busy on the outer hull, slicing away panels of crystal that would sell for small fortunes back in the core systems. They laughed over the open comms about the dead light ship and how the human was probably lost in there crying for his mother. Elias heard every word. He kept his own comm unit muted. Let them talk. The Starlight furnace chamber became his world. The spherical room was bigger than most hangars he had seen on human stations. The catwalk he stood on was narrow, made of the same smoky crystal as the walls. It circled the giant lattice at the center, like a thin silver ring. Below it, nothing but dark, empty space, down to the bottom of the sphere. Above, the lattice hung suspended by invisible fields that no longer worked. Golden threads twisted together in patterns too perfect to be random. Now they were dull, cracked, lifeless. Elias started simple. He treated the machine like an old diesel engine back on Earth, one that had sat in a barn for 20 years, seized up, full of rust and bad memories. First problem, no power at all. No juice to even light the diagnostic panels. He dragged in a portable fusion lamp from the crow's nest. It was small, ugly, human tech, basically a metal box with a bright blue glow and a handle. He set it on the catwalk and plugged in his old pad. The screen woke up. Numbers scrolled, all red. He walked the lattice again, this time with a small flashlight clipped to his shoulder. He looked for the places where the golden threads met the outer crystal shell. There were connection nodes, small round pads the size of dinner plates. A few looked intact, but dark. He chose one that seemed least broken. He wiped dust from it with his sleeve. Then he pulled out a roll of conductive tape, black market stuff from a shady dealer on New Shanghai. It carried current better than it should. He tore off a strip and pressed it across a hairline crack in the node. Then another strip. Then a third, making a crude bridge. Nothing happened. He sighed, sat down with his back against the railing, and ate half a ration bar. It tasted like cardboard and old sweat. He chewed slowly. "All right," he said to the silence. "You want clean power? Fine. I'll give you dirty power first." He went back to the umbilical tube and crawled out to the crow's nest. No one saw him. He returned an hour later dragging a heavy cable reel and a jury-rigged power tap. The tap was ugly, cobbled together from spare parts in the maintenance bay. It would pull juice straight from the salvage ship's auxiliary grid. Just enough to wake a few systems. Maybe. He fed the cable through the airlock, along the corridors, all the way to the furnace chamber. It took 3 trips. His arms burned. Sweat stung his eyes inside the suit helmet. When the cable finally reached the catwalk, he cut it to length with his plasma cutter and stripped the ends with a pocket knife. He attached one end to the fusion lamp's output. The other end he taped, lots of tape, to the conductive bridge he had made earlier. Then he flipped the switch on the tap. A low buzz started. The fusion lamp flared brighter. Blue light spilled across the crystal walls. For the first time in who knew how many thousands of years, a tiny current flowed into the lattice. One golden thread glowed. Just one. Faint orange, like a dying ember. Elias held his breath. The glow spread. Slowly. To the next thread. Then another. The lattice began to hum. Deep, almost below hearing. Dust shook loose from high up and floated down like slow snow. Then it stopped. The glow faded. The hum died. Elias cursed under his breath. He checked the pad. Power draw spiked, then shorted. A safety cutout somewhere in the alien system had kicked in. The lattice rejected the input like a body rejecting bad blood. He sat again, thought. Too dirty, he muttered, or too fast, or too human. He spent the next shift studying the cracks instead of forcing power. He climbed higher on the catwalk, using a safety line clipped to his belt. Up close, the crystal showed patterns, tiny channels etched inside, like veins in a leaf. Some were broken, some were blocked with what looked like burned residue. He pulled out a thin wire brush from his bag. Not fancy, just steel bristles on a handle. He started scrubbing one of the bigger channels. Black dust came away in clouds. Underneath, the crystal was clearer. He kept going. His arms ached, his fingers cramped. But slowly, one channel at a time, he cleared the path. When he finished the first section, he went back to the power tap. This time, he added a resistor, a cheap one salvaged from a dead comm unit. It would slow the current, smooth it out. He hooked it up again. The hum returned, stronger. The glow spread farther. 10 threads, 20. A soft violet light began to pulse along the outer crystal shell. Not bright, not steady, but alive. Elias smiled for the first time in days. He did not stop. He slept in short naps, curled against the catwalk railing with his suit hood as a pillow. He woke to cold muscles and stiff joints. Ate, drank water from a tube, went back to work. He carved new paths when the old ones would not take. Used the plasma cutter on low setting to etch fresh channels in the crystal. Careful, shallow cuts. Every time he cut, a low warning tone sounded somewhere deep in the walls. He ignored it. He patched microfractures with human epoxy, thick, gray stuff that smelled like chemicals and set hard in vacuum. It looked ugly against the perfect crystal, but it held. He rerouted power through loops of spare cable, making ugly knots and splices. Alien tech hated mess. Elias loved it. Mess meant options. One shift, he found a control node half hidden behind a cracked panel. It was a flat crystal disk with faint markings. When he touched it, the whole lattice flickered. A voice, calm, genderless, ancient, spoke once in a language he did not know. Then silence. He touched it again. Nothing. He marked the spot with a piece of red tape. A small flag in the dark. Days turned into what felt like weeks. His comm unit beeped with ignored messages from the crow's nest. First worried, then angry, then mocking. Human, you still breathing in there? A Vorath voice clicked one time. Elias did not answer. He kept working. One long session. He had lost count. He finished the last major bypass. A thick bundle of human cable ran from the power tap through 3 cracked nodes, around a shattered section, and into the main ignition matrix. It looked like a snake made of junk. Ugly. Functional. He stood back, looked up at the lattice. Most of it glowed now, soft gold, threaded with violet. The hum was steady, not loud, patient. He wiped sweat from his face with a dirty sleeve. All right, he said. Let's see if you'll take a real drink. He dragged the last piece of equipment in, a small hydrogen plasma torch from the salvage stores. Portable. Dirty. The kind of thing humans use to cut hulls in emergencies. He set it on the catwalk, aimed the nozzle at a collection port high above. The port was meant for stellar plasma. Clean, pure, straight from a star's corona. What he had was messy fusion exhaust, hot, unstable, wrong. He did not care. He lit the torch. Blue-white fire roared out. The lattice drank. For a second, nothing. Then the ship answered. A deep vibration ran through the floor. The catwalk shook. Lights, real lights, bloomed along the walls. Violet and gold rivers of light raced through the crystal veins. The sphere filled with soft dawn color. Elias stepped back. His heart hammered. The voice spoke again, this time in trade standard, clear, calm. Initialization sequence engaged. Core awakening. Identify. Elias stared at the glowing heart of the ship. He laughed once. Short, tired, real. Just a mechanic who wouldn't quit. The voice paused. Then, welcome, improbable key. Outside, the salvage fleet froze. Cutting beams shut off. Grapples hung slack. Every scanner lit up with impossible readings. The dead ship lived. And it was because of one stubborn human with a bag of tools and no sense of when to stop. The glow in the furnace chamber grew steadier. Rivers of violet and gold light flowed through the crystal walls like slow rivers of fire. The hum became a low, constant heartbeat. Elias stood on the catwalk, hands on the railing, watching it all. His suit was filthy. Grease streaks, patches of epoxy, bits of crystal dust stuck everywhere. His face felt raw from cold and lack of sleep, but he could not look away. The voice spoke again, clearer this time. It filled the chamber without coming from any one spot. Core stable at 37%. Harmonic alignment partial. Awaiting full stellar intake. State your purpose, improbable key. Elias blinked. My purpose? I just wanted to see if I could get you running again. A short pause. The lights pulsed once, like a nod. Understood. Systems inventory commencing. Please remain stationary. Panels along the catwalk lit up. Small crystal squares glowed with symbols Elias could not read. Holographic lines appeared in the air, blue and sharp, showing damage maps, power flows, broken parts. It looked like a medical scan for a giant machine. Elias watched. Most of the holo turned red, cracks everywhere. Collector arrays on the outer hull gone, navigation core offline, weapons grid dormant. But the heart, the Starlight furnace, glowed green in the center. Repair status, critical but viable, the voice said. Human modifications detected, non-standard, effective. Authorization granted. You are now provisional custodian. Elias snorted. Custodian? Sounds fancy. Call me Elias. Accepted, Elias. I am Astrael, last sentinel of the luminary vessel Ecliptica. My kind is gone. You are the first to wake me in error. Time data corrupted. Estimate exceeds standard measurement. Elias rubbed his neck. Yeah, you've been asleep a long time. The galaxy moved on without you. The lights dimmed slightly, as if the ship felt sad. Then they brightened again. Query, why did you persist when others abandoned? Elias thought for a second. Because giving up feels worse than failing, and because you looked like something worth saving. Another pause. The hum softened. Human logic noted. Illogical, effective. Elias laughed, short and rough. He turned to leave the chamber. His legs felt heavy. He needed food, real sleep, maybe a shower if the crow's nest still had hot water. He walked the long corridors back. The walls glowed now. Soft light followed him like curious fireflies. Doors that had stayed shut slid open when he approached. The ship watched him. He reached the airlock, the umbilical tube still connected to the salvage ship. He crawled through, slower this time. His body hurt in new ways. When he stepped into the crow's nest maintenance bay, 3 figures waited. Captain Vren, a tall Clythe security officer with clicking mandibles, and the Salen science officer, her skin shimmering with nervous colors. Vren spoke first. You have been missing for 142 hours. Explain. Elias pulled off his helmet. Sweat-soaked hair stuck to his forehead. I fixed it. The 3 stared. The Clythe clicked fast, laughter or anger. Elias could never tell. Impossible. 7 teams failed. You are one soft skin with hand tools. Elias shrugged. Turns out hand tools work. The Salen stepped closer. Her voice was musical but cold. Scans confirmed power surge from the wreck. Core temperature rising. How? I jury-rigged it, Elias said. Dirty power to start. Cleaned some channels. Patched cracks. Basic stuff. Vren's skin flaps flared. You tampered with precursor technology, without authorization. That wreck belongs to the consortium. Elias met his eyes. It was dead when you found it. I made it breathe. That counts for something. The captain opened his mouth to argue. Before he could, the deck speakers crackled. A calm, ancient voice filled the bay. This is Astrael. The Ecliptica is awake. Elias is recognized as provisional custodian. Any attempt to remove him or seize control will be met with defensive measures. Silence. The Clythe security officer reached for his stun baton. The Salin colors flashed red. Fear or warning. Elias raised a hand. Easy. She's not mad. Just protective. Vren turned to a nearby console. He pulled up external scans. The wreck, no longer a wreck, glowed on the display. Light leaked from every crack. The outer hull shimmered. Collector arrays, thought shattered beyond repair, began to unfold like slow flowers. Crystal petals opened toward the fate stars of the nebula. The salvage fleet went quiet on comms. No more cutting beams, no more laughter. A Vorath tug captain broke the silence. What in the void is happening over there? Elias looked at Vren. You can try to take her, but I wouldn't. The captain stared at the holo, then at Elias. Something changed in his eyes. Respect, maybe fear. You are one human, Vren said quietly. Yeah, Elias answered, but I'm the one who got her running. He walked past them. No one stopped him. He went to his tiny bunk room, dropped his tool bag, and fell onto the thin mattress without taking off his boots. He slept for 14 hours straight. When he woke, the ship was different. The crow's nest comms buzzed with panic. Reports came in fast. The Ecliptica had extended shielding, thin but perfect photon barriers. Nothing could approach closer than 2 kilometers without warning pulses. The salvage fleet pulled back. Small scout drones tried to get near. They vanished in flashes of refracted light. Elias sat up. His pad beeped. A message from Astrael. Provisional custodian. Request your presence. Full awakening requires stellar intake. Nearest viable star is 3 jumps distant. Course laid in. Awaiting command. Elias stared at the screen. He had fixed a dead ship. Now it wanted to fly. He stood, washed his face in the tiny sink, put on a clean jumpsuit, the last one he had, grabbed his tool bag out of habit. He walked to the bridge of the crow's nest. The whole crew watched him enter. No mockery now, just silence. Vren stood at the command chair. The consortium demands the vessel. They are sending enforcers, 3 frigates, armed. Elias nodded. They can try. He turned to the main viewport. The Ecliptica floated outside, huge, alive, glowing. Light danced across its surface like captured dawn. Elias spoke to the air. Astrael, open a channel to me. A small hollow panel appeared in front of him. The ancient voice answered. Channel open. Elias looked straight at the glowing ship. Take me home, he said. A low rumble answered. The Ecliptica moved. Slow at first, then smooth. It turned away from the salvage fleet. Engines that drank starlight flared violet gold. The crow's nest rocked as the big ship pulled away. Vren watched the viewport. You are stealing consortium property. Elias shook his head. No, I'm taking back what I fixed. He walked out of the bridge. No one followed. Outside, the Ecliptica waited. A small shuttle bay opened on its side, like an invitation. Elias suited up again. He crossed the gap in a borrowed EVA pod. When he stepped inside the alien bay, the doors closed behind him. Air filled the space. Gravity returned. Soft. Perfect. He took off his helmet. The corridors guided him. Light followed. Doors opened. He reached the bridge, a wide dome of clear crystal. Stars shone through. In the center stood a simple platform. No chair, just a control node glowing soft blue. Elias stepped onto it. The voice welcomed him. Command access granted. Where to, Elias? He looked out at the nebula. Beyond it, stars waited. Real ones, bright and close. Somewhere with a good sun, he said. I think this ship is thirsty. A soft chime answered. The Ecliptica turned. Space folded around it. Not like normal drives. Like the ship drank the distance itself. The salvage fleet shrank behind them. Alarms sounded across their comms. Consortium ships were coming. Too late. Elias stood on the bridge alone, grease under his nails, tired eyes, a small smile. He had woken a legend. The Ecliptica slipped out of the nebula like a quiet ghost leaving a graveyard. Stars stretched and snapped back as the ship drank the distance. No roar of engines, no flare of exhaust, just a smooth pull toward the nearest bright star. A young yellow one with a corona hot enough to feed a hungry furnace. Elias stood on the crystal bridge. The dome overhead showed the universe raw. No screens, no filters, just black space and pinpricks of fire. He felt small. The ship felt huge. Together, they felt right. Astrael's voice came soft. Stellar approach in 7 standard minutes. Collector arrays extending. Intake ports primed. Warning, first full draw in recorded history will cause temporary overload in non-essential systems. Elias nodded. Do it. The ship answered with action. Outside, the shattered crystal petals unfolded wider. They caught the star's light and bent it inward. Gold veins in the hull brightened. Violet threads raced faster. A low vibration ran through the deck. Not rough, just alive. Elias watched the star grow bigger in the dome. Heat warnings blinked on small panels. He ignored them. His hands stayed in his pockets, grease still under his nails. Then it happened. The collectors drank. Light poured in, not gentle, not slow. A river of raw plasma slammed into the furnace core. The sphere at the heart of the ship lit up like a second sun trapped in crystal. Elias had to squint. Heat washed over him even through the shields. The hum became a song, deep, clear, perfect. Power surged. Systems woke one after another. Navigation snapped online with star charts older than human history. Weapons grids hummed awake, rows of emitter nodes glowing red along the hull. Shields thickened into walls of bent light. Engines purred, ready to leap again. Astrael spoke over the roar. Intake complete. Core at 100%. All primary systems restored. Secondary systems at 84% and climbing. Elias, the Ecliptica is yours to command. Elias let out a long breath. Good girl. He turned away from the dome. Show me the message logs. A hollow panel appeared. Text scrolled fast. Trade standard. Clike script. Salen musical notation. Consortium demands. Threats. Offers of reward. Then, warnings of force. 3 frigates were closing. Consortium enforcers, sleek black hulls with heavy railguns and boarding pods. They had jumped in while Elias slept. Now they formed a loose triangle around the Ecliptica's path. A voice came over open channel. Deep, official, Vorath accent thick. This is Commodore Thal of the Consortium enforcement vessel Iron Resolve. Precursor artifact Ecliptica is declared galactic heritage. Human Elias Kane, you are ordered to stand down and prepare for boarding. Resistance will be met with lethal force. 3 red dots blinked closer. He spoke to Astrael. They really want her back. They will not have her, the ship answered. Calm. Certain. Elias rubbed his jaw. I don't want to kill anyone. Not today. Noted. Non-lethal protocols available. Solar flare bursts. Refractive blinding. Tractor pulses. Recommend demonstration. Elias nodded. Show them what happens when they push. The Ecliptica turned, slow, graceful, facing the lead frigate. A warning pulse went out first. A ring of violet light expanded from the hull. It hit the iron resolve like a soft slap. The frigate's shields flared white, then dimmed. Systems flickered. Lights blinked off and on. The Commodore's voice came back, angrier. "You will regret that." 2 boarding pods launched, small, fast, aimed at the Ecliptica's shuttle bay. Astrael acted. Thin beams of pure starlight, focused coronal plasma, lanced out, not to destroy, to cut. One beam sliced the first pod's thrusters clean off. It spun away helpless. The second beam melted the grapples on the other pod. It drifted, tumbling. The frigates opened fire. Rail rounds, solid slugs at high speed, raced toward the Ecliptica. The shields drank them. Light bent. Slugs slowed, stopped, hung in the air like metal insects caught in amber. Then the shields pushed. The rounds flew back, faster than they came. They slammed into the frigate's own armor. Sparks, explosions, not fatal, just painful. One frigate lost main power. Another spun, leaking coolant. The iron resolve held position, but its guns stayed silent. Elias watched it all on the dome. No joy on his face, just tired resolve. He opened the channel himself. "This is Elias Kane. I didn't ask for this ship. I fixed it because it was broken. You want it? Come take it. But know this, she's awake now, and she doesn't like bullies." He paused. "I'm not here to fight wars. I'm here to make things work again. Anyone tries to take her by force, we'll answer. Anyone wants to talk, I'll listen. That's the deal." He closed the channel. The 3 frigates hung there. No more shots. No more pods. After a long minute, they turned. Slow. They jumped away. Destination unknown. Silence returned. Elias sat on the edge of the command platform, legs hanging. He pulled a ration bar from his pocket. Last one. He ate half. Saved the rest. Astrael spoke. "Threat neutralized. No casualties. Your preference respected." "Thanks," Elias said. "Now what?" "Query unclear. What do we do next? The galaxy knows we're here. They'll come again. Bigger. Meaner." A short pause. "I was built to serve, to carry light to dark places, to heal what is broken. The Luminari used me for that. Then they were gone. I slept. With you." Elias looked up at the dome. Stars waited. "I'm no hero," he said. "Just a mechanic." "Mechanics fix things," Astrael answered. "The galaxy has many broken things." Elias stood. "All right, let's start small." He pulled up the nav charts. Old Luminari maps overlaid with new data Astrael had pulled from the consortium feeds while he slept. Red markers showed dying colonies, worlds with failing suns, cracked orbits, dying atmospheres. One blinked close, a human mining outpost, on a rock called Haven 9. Reports said their star was dimming, crops failing, power low. Evacuation talks started. Elias pointed. "There. Let's go." The Ecliptica answered with motion. Space folded again. The jump was smooth. They arrived in orbit around Haven 9, a gray ball with thin clouds. The star above looked tired, pale yellow, spots growing. Elias opened a channel. "This is the Ecliptica. We're here to help, not take, not fight. We can fix your star. Permission to approach." Static. Then a shaky human voice. Who is this?" "Name's Elias. Mechanic. Got a ship that drinks starlight. Thought you might need some extra shine." Long silence. Then, "Permission granted. Gods help us if this is a trick." Elias smiled. Small, real. He turned to Astrael. "Let's give them some light." The Ecliptica moved closer. Collectors opened wide. Not to drink this time, to give. Thin beams, careful, controlled, reached toward the star. They fed it. Clean plasma. Stabilized the core. Spots faded. Color returned, bright, strong. Below, on Haven 9, people looked up. Lights came back on. Fields greened. Children ran outside to see the sky change. A new message came, grateful, stunned. Words spread fast. Elias watched from the bridge. He felt like a man who patched one more broken thing. But the galaxy noticed. Ships appeared on long-range scans, not enforcers, pilgrims, curious, hopeful. Astrael spoke. More broken things wait. Elias nodded. Then we keep moving. He wiped his hands on his jumpsuit, looked out at the stars. One human, one ancient ship, a universe full of cracks. The Ecliptica drifted close to the newborn star. Its surface boiled with fresh fire, bright white at the core, gold and red at the edges. Plasma loops arched high like slow fountains. The ship hung just outside the corona, collectors wide open. They drank gently this time, not to feed a hungry core, but to store extra light in deep reserve cells. The hull glowed warm. Violet threads pulsed slow and steady, like a heartbeat after a long run. Elias stood on the bridge dome. No suit now, just his old jumpsuit, sleeves rolled up, boots scuffed. The air smelled faintly of ozone and warm metal. He held a chipped mug of coffee, real beans, grown in a hydroponic bay the ship had woken up just for him. Steam rose in lazy curls. Astrael's voice came soft. Reserves at 92%. We can travel for years without another draw if needed. The star thanks us. Its stability has increased by 4%. Stars don't talk. They do, Astrael answered, in frequencies most cannot hear. This one sings clearer now. Elias smiled into his mug. He did not argue. After months aboard, he had stopped questioning the strange things the ship said. Some were old luminary poetry. Some were facts older than Earth. Some felt like jokes only the two of them understood. He looked out. The star filled half the dome. Light washed over everything. Bright, but not blinding. Shields softened it just enough. Below, on the command platform, small holopanels floated. They showed a growing list of places they had touched. Haven 9. Star fixed, crops growing again. Tarsus Colony, rings repaired, mining restarted. Cliff Moonbase, failing reactor, replaced with a clean light tap. 3 Salin research stations, power restored after solar storm damage. Each name came with short messages, thank yous in different scripts. One old Vorath engineer had sent a recording of himself clicking what sounded like deep respect. Elias kept them all saved, not for pride, just to remember why he kept going. A new alert blinked. Red, urgent. Elias set the mug down. What now? Consortium fleet, 12 ships, mixed classes, closing from Jump Point Delta, lead vessel broadcasting on all channels. The voice switched to the incoming transmission. Commodore Thal again, tired this time, not angry. Elias Kane, this is not an attack vector. We request parley. Face to face, neutral ground. The Council has questions, and an offer. Elias rubbed his chin. Stubble scratched his palm. He had not shaved in weeks. Astrael spoke low. They carry no active weapons locks. Shields at standby. I detect no boarding preparations. Elias thought, then nodded. All right, tell them to send one shuttle, unarmed, no escort. Same place we woke up. The ship sent the reply, precise, polite, final. Hours later, a single consortium shuttle approached. Small, white, no guns visible. It docked in the Ecliptica's secondary bay. Elias waited there alone, tool bag at his feet, hands in pockets. The airlock cycled. 3 figures stepped out. Commodore Thal, tall Vorath, mandibles polished, uniform crisp. Beside him, a Sailan diplomat with calm, shifting colors. Last, a human woman, mid-40s, short dark hair, wearing a simple council jacket. She looked tired but steady. Elias recognized her face from old news feeds. Ambassador Mara Lin, Earth's voice in the consortium. Thal spoke first. You have changed the balance, Kane. Worlds talk about you. Some call you thief. Some call you restorer. Elias shrugged. I call myself mechanic. Mara Lin stepped forward. We are not here to take the ship. Not anymore. We have seen what you do. Haven 9 sends food shipments now, instead of evacuation requests. Tarsus Moon no longer begs for power. You fix things we cannot. She paused. The Council offers partnership, not ownership. You keep command. The Ecliptica stays yours. But share the light. Let us guide where help is needed most. No more running from fleets. Elias looked at each of them. Then at the open bay doors. Stars waited outside. I don't take orders, he said. Never did. We know, Mara answered. We ask, not order. Thal clicked softly. Many fear you. Some hate you. Most, hope. Elias picked up his tool bag, slung it over his shoulder. I'll think about it, he said. No promises. But if I say yes, it's on my terms. No chains. No council stamps on my hull. Mara nodded. Fair. They left without more words. The shuttle detached, flew away slow. Elias walked back to the bridge. The dome still glowed with starlight. He sat on the platform edge, legs hanging over nothing. Astriel spoke. You did not accept. Not yet, Elias said. Maybe never. Depends on the jobs they send. I fix broken things, not politics. A soft chime. Understood. Elias looked out. A faint signal blinked on the nav map. Old, weak. A dying red dwarf with a single frozen world. Scans showed one small settlement. Power failing. Heat almost gone. Last message sent 6 months ago. No reply since. He pointed. There. They might still be breathing. The Ecliptica turned. Collectors folded partway. Engines drank the last of the young star's light. Space folded smooth. They jumped. When they arrived, the red dwarf looked sick. Dim, spotty, cold. The planet below was ice and rock. One dome habitat glowed faint. Almost out. Elias opened a channel. This is the Ecliptica. Anyone home? Static. Then a weak voice. Old. Human. Yes, barely. Who? Who are you? Elias said. Mechanic, Elias said. Got a ship that carries extra sun. Mind if I top you off? Long silence. Then a sob. Short. Grateful. Please. Elias stood. Astriel, let's give them morning. The ship moved close. Collectors opened. Beams reached out. Thin, careful. They fed the star. Color returned. Heat rose. The dwarf brightened, step by step. On the planet, lights strengthened. Heaters hummed. People stepped outside domes to see the sky change from blood red to soft orange. Elias watched from the bridge. No big speech. No ceremony. Just work. When it was done, he turned away from the dome. Astriel spoke. Another fixed. Yeah, Elias said. He wiped his hands on his jumpsuit, looked at the grease stains, smiled small. He walked to a side console, pulled out a small roll of silver tape from his bag, stuck a fresh piece on the edge of the control node, wrote on it with a marker in block letters. Round 2. He stepped back, looked at the words. Astrael's voice came warm now, human humor mixed with ancient calm. Always, mechanic. The stars are waiting. Elias nodded. He picked up his empty mug, headed toward the small galley the ship had grown for him. Outside, the Ecliptica turned again. Collectors closed. Engines purred. A new signal blinked on the map. Another broken place. Another chance. The ship flew toward it. One human. One living legend. A universe of cracks. They kept going. Light refused to fade.